The views and opinions expressed by the host are based on her personal experiences and perspectives as a human rights advocate. They are shared for storytelling and reflection purposes only and do not intend to discredit, damage, or destroy the reputation of any person, group, or institution.
Kapag nagtrabaho ka sa government, may security ka. Hindi naman security ang pagkakaroon ng privilege na mangutang ng malaki. But to be honest, that was the worst interview of my life. Sinong backer mo? Hi everyone, welcome back to Tina Talks. And for today's episode, it is a little more personal because I want to share with you my journey as a 36-year-old millennial mother who has seen and experienced life that sometimes it seems to be unfair. I grew up in a beautiful province of Palawan, and there is an unspoken culture in our family na kapag magka-college ka na, we go to Manila. Doon kami nag-aaral sa Manila. Why? Because we believe there are a lot of options in Manila, and let's be honest, meron tayong thinking na kapag taga-probinsya ka, alam mo na may mas magandang level of education ang Manila. Siyempre, ito yung sentro. Andun, dami mong options in terms of schools, and dami mong options pagdating sa mga courses that you want. But don't get me wrong, I know that there are provinces na meron silang magagandang colleges and universities wherein there are a lot of courses offered compared sa other provinces, which is my province nga. And of course, when it comes to quality or standard of education, dahil nga Metro Manila is center at mas maraming mga opportunities and iba yung pace of living, iba yung exposure that you get sa city life. If we have that resources and opportunity to go to Manila or sometimes nga to go abroad if talagang mayaman ka, di ba? Minsan sa ibang bansa ka nag-aaral because we are aiming for a high standard or quality of education. But that's based sa case ng family namin. We are middle-class family, hindi kami mayaman. Both parents working sa government, and during that time, ako na lang yung nag-aaral sa family. So that's why kaya afford namin na makapag-aral ako sa Manila. Hindi rin naman biro ang living sa Manila. You know, lalo pat hindi talaga kami taga Manila, we will pay for the rent, we will pay for everything. How about to those parents who cannot send their children to best schools, who cannot send their children sa ibang lugar because they believe na may mas magandang standard or quality of education doon? They will just settle kung ano yung available. And with that, yung mga batang to, they will just adjust their dreams. Bata pa lang sila, we always ask them, ano gusto mo paglaki mo? But what if yung gusto nila paglaki nila is not available doon sa province nila, doon sa lugar nila? They will just settle kung anong meron. And that's for me, ay may gap and inequality na doon pagdating sa education. Fast forward, after finishing my studies, I went back to my province, Palawan, because I realized na hindi ko kayang makipagsabayan or I cannot survive yung pacing ng pamumuhay sa Manila. And there are a lot of reasons na mamaya i-share ko din sa inyo kung bakit ayaw ko magstay sa Manila for good. Well, that's my personal choice kasi yung elder sisters ko naman, after they studied or graduate in college sa Manila, doon na sila nagtrabaho at nakapag-asawa at bumuo ng pamilya. Even though I believe that Palawan is still my safe place, yun pa rin ang aking comfort zone. Unfortunately, yung course na kinuha ko ay hindi siya in demand sa Palawan. So, I ended up in hospitality and tourism industry. And actually, it's not that really bad because nagkaroon din ako ng career breakthrough ko sa industry na ito. And marami talagang natulong sa akin, not just in my career, but in my professional development, in my personality development, on how I carry myself. Still, maraming naambag sa akin being part of this industry. I never had a desire to work in government, even though yung family ko, yung parents ko nga, are government employees, my relatives. Actually, meron pa kaming mga relatives talaga na into politics. So, even though I was surrounded by that kind of family and community, hindi ako nagkaroon ng desire to work sa government. I was actually called a City Hall baby. Kasi yung pinanganak ako, year na pinanganak ako, that was the year na yung mama ko ay nagtrabaho na sa government. So, lagi niya akong dala-dala. As in, literally, baby pa lang ako, dinadala niya ako. Marami ako actually memories sa City Hall. Like, since hanggang grade school ako na, of course, pero na akong mga naaalala nun, to high school until college. Kasi during naman my college years, umuwi pa rin naman ako sa province namin kapag may vacation. So, I have so many memories na marami akong observations while my mother is working sa City Hall or sa government niya. Marami akong mga terminologies na nakuha like backer, like padulas, like bunggo. Kapag may mayaman doon sa office ninyo, ibubunggo mo yung sweldo mo sa kanya. Yung upcoming pa lang na sweldo, ibubunggo mo na sa kanya so wala ka na makukuha. And that person, I don't know, may access sila doon sa payroll, sino man yung nagre-release ng salary, and wala ka na matatanggap kasi parang in-advance mo siya sa tao na yon. Paluwagan, dyan ko rin unang narinig yung mga paluwagan na yan. And a lot of things and a lot of observations na nakita ko. And of course, meron ding mga magaganda. Marami din like, you know, friendship, relationship na until now, nakikilala pa rin ako ng mga retired na sa government because they remember me, nadala-dala ako lagi ng mama ko sa City Hall. And with that, alam niyo yun, nakabuo tayo ng relationship na until now, kahit na hindi kami ganun ka-close, hindi kami nagkikita madalas, pero pag minsan nagkikita, ay, ikaw na ba yung anak? Ang laki-laki mo na. Ikaw ba yung dala-dala noon na maliit? Laging ganun. So, somehow, maganda rin na that I was exposed to that. You know, at a very young age, at the back of my head, I know na hindi ba mali yun? But why is that everybody is doing it? And it seems to be normal. Hindi siya ginagawa ng patago. Well, in my view that time. Kaya sabi ko, I was a little bit confused. May mga disadvantage din ako nakita like mga under the table na mga nangyayaring transactions. Yung observation ko, siguro yung pinaka-highlight sa observation ko na yon during that time is kapag may kakilala ka sa loob, mas favored ka, yung transaction mo mas mapapabilis. At pag mas kilala ka at pag may power ka, mas magiging smooth yung transaction mo, mas favored ka. Hindi ako naging comfortable. It's during that time, hindi pa siya clear talaga sa akin na it's not the right thing to do. But something in my inner self that I'm not comfortable to do that. Hindi ako komportable na magkaroon ng ganun dealings or transactions. So that's why sabi ko, parang I'm not prepared for government. That's why after my college years, wala talaga ako naging desire to work sa government. Kasi feeling ko, hindi ako para doon. Hindi ko kakayanin yung sistema na meron ang government. But of course, working in private companies doesn't mean na ma-avoid mo na yung mga dealings and transactions with public servants or sa mga government employees. Of course, even though nasa private sector ka, sakop ka pa rin ng government pagdating sa mga business permits, licenses, and other policies and regulations kung saan yung iyong company or business. During that time, mas napatunayan ko na, oh my gosh, that's why I really don't like to work with government. Like, yearly renewal of business permit is really an headache for me. Like, nagre-renew lang ako, hindi ako nag-a-apply for new business. Pero every year, ang daming hinihinging bago. It's as if lagi akong bagong bukas na property or business. Well, I am just an employee, pero as a manager, ako yung humaharap doon. And when we ask for support, ang hirap-hirap mag-ask ng support from them. Ang daming hinihingi. I cannot just deal with that kind of transaction because I'm very straightforward person. Like, kung anong kailangan mo sa akin, sabihin mo sa akin straight because I cannot understand yung mga pasaring, yung mga parinig. I really cannot understand that. Diba? Ayoko ng paligoy-ligoy because I don't want to waste my time. Na back and forth ako sa office, transaction, even the process and the system kung papaano ka makikipag-deal, it needs to be personal always because sabi nila kapag personal, you know, may mga other requests, may mga favor, parang can we just do it online because hindi lang to yung trabaho ko. Marami pa akong kailangan gawin sa property or sa company na pinagtatrabahuhan ko. And that's, for me, it's really a waste of time. But I do understand na lahat naman nasa process of development. And natuto din ako somehow to adopt that culture na kailangan mo ring sumunod sa gusto nila. It's because pag-iinitan ka. So sabi ko, I have that dealing or transactions with them. But, alam mo yun, nagkakaroon lalo ng confirmation kung bakit ayoko magtrabaho sa government. And then, pandemic happened. So, we all know that regular employees ng government, they continue to receive salaries plus mga ayuda pa, while us na nasa private sectors, nagsastruggle talaga kami dahil unti-unting nag-lay off, unti-unti nang nagsasara na talaga yung borders, lalo pat kami nasa tourism industry. Wala namang magtutour, walang turista na pupunta sa probinsya namin. That's why marami nagko-convince sa akin noon na bakit hindi ka mag-work sa government para at least may security ka. So they really see that if you work in government, you have security. I remember one of my bosses told me that kapag nagtrabaho ka sa government, may security ka. Sabi niya, anong security kaya yung sinasabi nila? Yung pwede kang makapag-loan ng malaki? You are just getting that privilege na mangutang ng malaki. And that person kasi is really very disciplined siya when it comes to his finance. Kaya hindi siya ganun ka-believer ng utang-utang system. Hindi naman security ang pagkakaroon ng privilege na mangutang ng malaki. So I gave it a try. Iniisip ko baka since iba na rin yung generation, baka iba na yung culture and system ng government ngayon. But to be honest, that was the worst interview of my life. I came there very prepared because hindi naman ako mag-a-apply sa job na yon if I knew na hindi ako, of course, qualified for that position. So bago yung panel interview, pumunta ako dun sa lugar kung saan siya gaganapin because I really want to come prepared. And ayoko nang nag-rush ako. That's why pinuntahan ko agad yung venue. And then sabi ko nga sa inyo, as a City Hall baby, maraming nakakita sa akin doon. Oh, yan ang ginagawa mo dito because I think, my mom already retired. So, ginagawa mo dito? Sabi ko, ay, check ko lang po yung venue for panel interview tomorrow. Sabi niya, ay, nag-apply ka. And alam mo yung question, unang-unang tanong sa akin, sinong backer mo? And I was stunned. Siguro na pause ako for a few seconds kasi wala talaga akong backer. Even yung mama ko, hindi ko sinabihan na mag-a-apply ako. Sabi ko, wala po, si Lord. Sabi ko, magano'n si Lord po. Hindi, syempre, maliban pa nun. Sabi ko, wala po. Kahit nga po si mama, hindi niya alam na nag-apply ako. Ano ka ba? Dapat kailangan yan. So, sabi ko, parang hindi ko masyadong pinansin yung conversation na yun. Sige po, tita, mauna na po ako. Sige, good luck sa interview mo tomorrow. And then, I knew na other applicants for same position ay mga tagaloob. So, doon na sila nagtatrabaho sa department na yun. So, I asked my mom para humingi rin ng advice. Sabi ko, pupunta pa ba ako? Because I know yung kalakaran sa government. Pupunta pa ba ako? Baka it's just a waste of time for me na baka naman meron na talaga. Na sometimes kasi I know naman na minsan for formality na lang yung mga panel interviews na yan or scouting of applicants. Pero meron na talaga. Meron na talagang dapat na nakalaan na ipopromote. And sabi ng mother ko, yes, pumunta ka pa rin sa interview kasi kapag hindi ka pumunta, number one, baka ma-blacklist ka dahil ikaw yung nag-a-apply tapos hindi ka naman pumupunta pagdating sa final interview. And just for you to present yourself and for you, yun na yung starting point mo, entry point mo para makilala ka. So sabi ko, okay, sige, I'll come. So I was there 7 a.m. and I was interviewed 5 p.m. So gano'n, kasi sabay-sabay yung hiring nila for different position. I waited for my turn and hindi ako actually masyado nakikipag-usap sa mga tao because parang, you know, there is this feeling na ang lakas naman ng loob kong mag-apply, ang mga kalaban ko or other applicant for the same position is taga-government na. Parang merong feeling na kapag from tagalabas ka or private sector ka, first-timer ka, and you are applying for government, parang, sino siya? Feeling ko ako lang naman yon. But yes, there is that feeling. So, the interview started. And one of the panels, una-una sinabi is that it's not for me to decide, but still, this person, if kung sino man yung i-recommend niya, that will be the one na mapipili for that position. So, sabi ko, syempre, nakaagad ako doon because hindi niya naman ako kilala. So, yun yung una. Kung kilala ka, mas may chance ka. So, among the 4 of us, I was the first na nagpakilala since hindi nga ako taga doon. So, I prepared for that interview. So, ako yung unang nagsalita and I presented myself and explained to them what I can contribute to become a public servant coming from private sector. So, dami ko sinabi noon, naalala ko. And what really shocked me is that sa iba kong mga kasamang aplikante, they were just asked, how many years ka na nagtatrabaho sa government? Yun lang. Yun lang yung tanong sa kanila. And then, one of the panels, sabi pa nga, ganyan ka nakatagal, pero hindi ka pa napopromote? So parang, for me, parang parinig siya sa akin na parang, girl, ang tagal nga na dyan, hindi pa siya napopromote, alangan ibigay namin sa'yo. Pero wala yun lang naman talaga yung bala na dala-dala ko during that time. Just my skills and expertise and experience. Yun lang. And ano yung na-contribute ko sa sector na yon, sa industry na yon, even when I was in the private sector. But, wala. Parang gusto ko na nga po, excuse po, uwi na ako. Pero, I have to face the reality. So, to cut the long story short, that was the worst interview of my life. I'm not saying here na hindi sila para sa position na yon. But just that interview, letting me feel that they're already from the inside. Ang tagal-tagal na nila at hindi pa sila napopromote. For me, it's a red flag. But for them, hindi. Dapat sa kanya na yun. Kumbaga, mas deserve niya yung position. Point of view ko, iba. But I respected that. During this time, instead of me feeling na, kaya ayoko talaga magtrabaho sa government, no. Mas nagkaroon ako ng urge na this system should be changed. Even if you're in a private sector or government sector, yung ganitong mga bagay ay dapat mabago. And again, you don't have to be in the government office para mabago to. Like what we are doing right now. I'm just raising awareness about this. Mapag-usapan lang, malaking bagay na manahimik tayo and we accept that kind of system at nagiging normal na lang siya. And speaking of government system, let's talk about these flood control projects na talaga namang pinag-uusapan ngayon. I knew this, I was able to observe this, pero hindi sa ganito kalaking scale. Like we're talking about billions of corruptions. Alam ko na to, yung mga ganitong sistema, hindi na siya bago sa akin. But what I'm really happy about is that pinag-uusapan na siya ngayon. And even our president bring it up. And now, laman na siya ng Senado. Napanood ko yung show ni Jessica Soho sa GMA wherein nagkaroon nga siya ng interviews to some people discussing about this allegedly corruption at nawawalang mga billions from the flood control projects. Dr. Liashan, if I'm not mistaken, kung tama yung pag-pronounce ko, mentioned na hindi lang dapat leptospirosis yung ating dapat pagtuunan ng pansin because of the floods nga na nangyayari ngayon. Maraming sakit ang nakakakuha nito. But itong sakit na kleptopyrosis na sinasabi niya ay dapat ding bigyan ng pansin at ito ang dapat na mawala na. I was also very impressed sa mayor ng Baguio, Mayor Benjamin Magano. Grabe yung movement na ginawa niya. I'm really, parang nakaka-proud lang. If ako taga Baguio, nakaka-proud yung movement na ginagawa niya. And he also bring up yung mga overpricing ng mga materials ng mga transactions sa government. And he said, according to him, that sa 100% na budget ng mga flood control programs and even other projects, actually 30% na lang talaga ang napupunta sa actual project. 40% goes to kickbacks or doon sa mga patong nila. 50% maybe materials or yun na lang yung profit ng company. 50% taxes and other expenses. But the actual value or percentage na lang of the total budget na napupunta sa project is 30%. That's why yung mga projects ay substandards. May mga subcontractor, meaning ito yung katransact nila na contractor, kukuha ng another contractor na small time. Dahil nga 30% na lang yung actual budget, kakagatin na lang to ng mga small contractor. And then, wala na sa napag-usapan, hindi na doon sa actual design or bidding yung actual na nangyayari. And worst case, nagiging ghost project siya, meaning totally walang nangyaring project. Senator Lacson also mentioned that there are 67 congressmen na mga contractors and suppliers, meaning sila-sila rin. Sila-sila rin ang kumukuha ng mga transaction na to sa government. And as a result, yung mga ordinaryong Pilipino, binabaha sila, nagkakaroon sila ng sakit. At dahil dito naaapektuhan yung kanilang hanap buhay. And worst case, marami ring namamatay. I like this last line na sinabi ni Jessica Soho sa kanyang program na ito. Hindi baha ang lulubog sa mga Pilipino kung hindi kasakiman. As a mother, this is really important for me. Big factor siya because it talks about living our life freely na hindi tayo natatakot kada uulan, baka bumaha, baka ma-wipe out yung bahay namin, baka hindi ako makapasok sa school. I'm very privileged na sa bahay ako nagtatrabaho, pero paano yung mga estudyante na papasok, na nagko-commute sila? That's actually one of the many reasons I don't like to stay in Manila because I saw kung paano kahirap mag-commute, going to one place. Alam mo yon, pupunta ka lang ng mall, mag-grocery ka lang, ang hirap-hirap mag-commute. Kung hindi sobrang init, so binabaha yung lugar, matatraffic ka sa isang lugar. Yung biyahe mo na 30 minutes, nagiging 1 hour to 2 hours. Worse kapag bumabaha, kapag umuulan. That's one of the many reasons kung bakit ayaw ko mag-stay in Manila. Yung corruption and stealing of money, hindi lang siya simpleng mismanagement. It's actually a violation of our human rights. Yung right natin of life, liberty, and security. So whether it is unfair hiring system, flood control projects, no available courses in my province, and just simply feeling mo hindi fair yung nangyayari sa buhay mo, hindi pwedeng sabihin natin na ganito na lang talaga. We cannot just settle with that. Kailangan we stand up, we speak up. Honestly, I'm very happy sa nangyayari ngayon ng mga revelations from different government officials kasi nagkakaroon ng lakas ang loob, lalo pat yung mga nasa laylayan ng lipunan na magsalita. Dahil alam nilang meron silang kakampi. Guys, you need to speak up. Use your social media platforms. This is for your future, guys. You, Gen Z, you need to speak up right now. Kung ano man yung feeling mong unfair system na nangyayari, and if you think and if you feel that your right is deprived, magsalita ka. Stand up for what is right and keep the conversation going because you deserve a better future where corruption doesn't drown us but justice lifts us. This is Tina and this has been Tina Talks. I'll see you on the next episode.
This has been Tina Talks produced by the Human Rights Development Organization. Thank you for spending time with me today. Don't forget to stay connected. Follow us on Facebook at tinatalks.hro and on TikTok at tinatalkshRDO. Until next time, let's keep the conversation going.